Weather portion of Ag Week now. We're starting off with a new map. This is the NOAA Crop Moisture Index. It's not really new. This is actually a very old index. Goes back for decades. Recent weeks we've been showing you the Soil Moisture Index out of the University of Washington. That's more of an immediate reflection of a recent rainfall and how much water is in the topsoil at the moment. That's a model thing. This is also a computer model, but this is more of a long drawn out. This is more over about a 3 or 4 week period. So the idea here is you're not going to see anything as extreme. You'll see a little bit of green over the Sioux Falls area, western Iowa, much of Nebraska. That means the soils are quite wet in that area. Not necessarily in flood, but quite wet. Most of the United States is actually in white right now, meaning it's about average, basically about average, which doesn't mean exactly perfect at all. It just means that we're not in a drought in the northern plains, and we're certainly not any too wet. We're in that type of typical spring where we need some timely rain. So let's see what the weather pattern is going to do for us. We've had some cool weather this weekend into the northern plains with some areas of freezing temperatures. Might be the last of that as the northern part of the jet stream is going to start fading away and the main jet will shift a little bit further to the south over the next few days. Toward the end of the week, I'm expecting a ridge of high pressure to be building up. That'll bring us some warm temperatures as the week goes along. And as usually happens when you get into summertime, the subtropical jet stream is really starting to fade away and becoming much less of a factor, certainly up here in the northern plains. So what are we going to look at for rain now? Okay, first of all, this coming week, the midweek of May, it still looks like the main storm track is going to be further south from Texas over to the southeastern states. Plenty of rainfall down here. This will come in hit and miss thunderstorms. So it's not like it's all going to be a soak, but there will be plenty of stormy weather in the south. Some of the shower activity will shift northward up into the Midwest. It's not all going to be great moisture, but there will be some scattered showers, especially into the eastern part of the northern plains. Montana's looking fairly dry, and the west coast is looking fairly dry for this week. Next week, now we're talking really the last full week of May. Still think the storm track will be in the central part of the country, but because of the amplitude, the waviness of the pattern, I do expect a storm system to curve northward up into the northern plains, upper Midwest, sometime next week. That's a week and a half from now. And I don't know how far west it'll go, and I certainly can't guarantee it, but it looks like we could get at least some decent rains, might be in the form of showers or thunderstorms. Looks fairly dry along the east coast, and the southwest is settling into its typical summertime pattern. So what are we looking at overall as we look at the end of May? Probably the last of the frost, unless we get something crazy happening in June in the far northern parts of the area. And it will be turning warmer as we go through this week into next week. That brings up the chance for some more thunderstorms. Main storm track staying south, but I do see a pretty good shot of moisture into the plains next week.